What's up, y'all? In today's video, I'm going to be going over the best PvP builds for Holy Paladin and all the different ranked PvP modes. I'm going to try and timestamp and put everything into chapters to make it more convenient for those of you who are just looking for one specific build. So to start off, I'm going to cover stat priority. So as you can see, the stat priority is versatility, haste, crit, then mastery. And this is pulled from murlok.io from all of the top Holy Paladins, and it's showing the PvE percentages. So just keep in mind that once you hit 30% versatility, you're gonna go, more heavily towards haste if you're running the melee wings build. If you've watched my channel, you know that I run the regular wings build, and so it's gonna be about 50-50 haste and crit. And I tend to lean more heavily towards crit now that I have my 4 set. Also keep in mind that there's a 30% soft cap on versatility, so once you hit that 30%, you're going to want to focus more on haste and crit. Alright, so let's get into the builds. Alright, so first we're going to cover the melee wings 2v2 and 3v3 builds. So it's pretty much the same for 2s and 3s. I'm not going to read off every single talent because I know all of you can read and that would make for a really boring video, but I'm just going to cover some of the more important parts. So for 3s, I tend to take this Empyrean Legacy just to give me a little bit more output. For 2s, using the melee wings, I will use this just to be a little bit more mana efficient. Same thing here. Sometimes I will swap out this improved Blessing of Protection whenever I'm doing 2v2, and I'll change it out for Touch of Light in 3v3, again just to give a little bit more output. Your base PvP talents are going to be Vengeance Aura, Aura of Reckoning, and then Bless Hands. If you're fighting a bunch of casters and people who can offensively dispel, Bless Hands becomes, less useful. I tend to take Ultimate Sacrifice. Sometimes I take Cleanse the Weak. Cleanse the Weak is really powerful versus, elemental shamans or any kind of class that, wants to multi-dot. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the melee wings 2s and 3s. Just know that, you're almost always going to take Vengeance Aura. You're going to swap out of Aura of Reckoning sometimes for Cleanse the Weak. It's knowing which PvP talents to take each time. And these are going to be the ones that you swap out of the most. So next, let's go into the melee wings solo shuffle. So you're going to see there is not much difference between the melee wings solo shuffle and the melee wings 2s and 3s build. I have swapped improved Blessing and Protection because there's no way that the solo shuffle is going to last long enough for this talent to even be relevant. So I don't even take it, and I always have Touch of Light. You're going to have the same base PvP talents. I do tend to get rid of Aura of Reckoning a lot in solo shuffle and take Ultimate Sacrifice just to be able to save a teammate. It's just really good because there's no communication in solo shuffle, so Ultimate Sacrifice becomes a lot more valuable, but be mindful that teams will swap to you as you get to, higher MMR. They're going to understand what it does and swap to you a lot more. Next up, we're going to do the regular wings 2v2. So this is probably the one that you've seen the most on my channel. I always take Inflorescence of the Sunwell just because it helps with your mana. Holy Paladins have terrible, terrible mana. A lot of games I'll swap between Repent and Blinding Light. Both of these are really good. So our PvP talents also change whenever, the base PvP talents also change whenever we take regular wings. I tend to go Precognition and then Light's Grace, and these two, so Blessed Hands and Precog, are the ones that you're going to swap around. Light's Grace I take in every single match. It's just too valuable. It increases the healing done by your Flash of Light by 25%, and your Holy Light reduces all damage on the target receives by 15%. Like, this is a super good PvP talent for regular wings, and you need it in every single match. You know, if there's not a lot of melee, sometimes I won't take Precognition, sometimes I'll take Vengeance Aura, or Ultimate Sacrifice, depending on what I'm fighting. It goes kind of the same as the melee wings. You know, if it's a Ellie Shaman, I'll usually take Cleanse the Weak. Next up, we're gonna go with the regular wings 3s. So you'll see there's not much of a change when it comes to the 3v3 build. I do like to use Empyrean Legacy for a little bit more output. I also like to use Rule of Law. This increases the range of your spells by 50% for 10 seconds, so you can play at max range, and it just helps with positioning. You can have a lot better positioning in 3s. I also take Improved Blessing of Protection, because there have been scenarios where it lasts long enough to where I do get that 3rd Blessing of Protection if you use it early. And next up is the regular wings solo shuffle. Alright, you're going to notice that this one is really similar to the 2v2 version of the regular wings. However, I usually take Rule of Law because it allows me to play max range, just like I was explaining in the previous one. So we lose out on our Aura Mastery talent right here, and we pick up Rule of Law. We drop Improved Blessing of Protection, and we pick up Touch of Light. And the PvP talents are pretty much the exact same across the board for all 3 of the regular wings specs, 2v2, 3v3. Like, you're going to have Light's Grace in every single one whenever you're running the regular wings build. And last but not least, the rated Battlegrounds build. So I admittedly have not done any rated Battlegrounds this entire season. I don't normally do rated Battlegrounds, but I pulled this build from the top 50 highest ranked Holy Paladins in rated Battlegrounds, and Beacon of Virtue is pretty much the only difference between this and the Melee Wings build. It's to help with spread healing in team fights and just, you know, AoE healing in general. So you're basically swapping out one talent and picking up this Beacon of Virtue. And that is pretty much it for all the different rated PvP modes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. If you have anything to add, feel free to leave it in the comments. I know there's a lot of high-rated Holy Paladins that have been leaving really nice comments. You guys are awesome. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and drop a like on the video. It helps me out tremendously, and I really appreciate it. But yeah, that's about it. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.